Sunetra Sarker is an actress best known for her role as Dr. Zoe Hannah in Casualty.
You tell ITU they're taking this patient now, even if I have to wheel her there myself.
She got her first break at just 15 years old when she appeared in Brookside.
Hiya, Sam. What are you doing here? Come to spy on me like everyone else?
No, I just want to see you.
Well, I don't want to see you, all right?
I've always been really proud to say that I'm from Liverpool. It's something that comes so easily to me. The minute anybody says, where are you from, I say I'm from Liverpool. And I really like saying that, actually. It's such a cliche, isn't it, to ferry across the Mersey, and yet it's so nice. Growing up was definitely an Indian household. Mum always wore a sari and a bindi on her forehead. We only really ate Indian food. Even Christmas dinner was Indian. I preferred to be more British, so I would speak with a Liverpool accent. As many British and English, anglicised things that I could bring into my life, I did. Me and my mates were secretly buying bovril soup, which is like unheard of because Hindus don't eat beef, and probably denied being Indian as much as I possibly could. Mum's always been really good at talking about family, and just used to go in one ear and out the other. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't really see any point in knowing my history because we weren't in India. I really wish I had paid more attention because now I'm grown up. I know it's not about being cool anymore. My family's all from India and I actually like it and I want to know more about it. And I know we've got a really important great-grandfather somewhere in the family who was a lawyer and wrote novels, and he's talked about as a god almost in our family. So I suppose now is a chance where I get to see if I can find out some of that history that I didn't want to know back then.
Sunetra's parents settled in Liverpool after moving from Kolkata in India a few years before Sunetra was born. She's come to see them to find out more about her great-grandfather on her mother's side, who was a revered figure in the family.
Hello! Hi! Oh, hi, Mum. How are you?
All right.
Hi, Dad. I want to have a little chat with you, Mum. Dad, did you put the kettle on? You can do the teas. You make a great cup of tea. One sugar, please. Let's go in, Mum. OK, so what I've realised, Mum, is that I don't actually know a lot about our family history. So before I start this journey, I want to ask you to tell me the things that you've probably already told me that I didn't listen to.
Where do I start from? I can show you a picture of Ma and Dadu. You have heard about him as Dadu, is my mum's dad.
Yeah, your granddad. I mean, everybody talks about him. Which one is he?
There he is.
OK.
My
Is
mum
that you?
was very, yeah.
Oh, right. I can see that's you straight away.
And this is better picture of Dadu.
So Dadu is this sort of character in the family that you all talk about. What was his full name?
Dr. Naresh Chandra Sengupta.
He was the famous lawyer and
He was the lawyer and the
novelist
writer.
and the writer.
He was in touch with all the great literary figures of that time.
Mm-hmm.
And even Tagore, whose name you hear all the time.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, he knew him. And
He's like the Shakespeare of India, isn't he, almost?
Yeah. And actually, Tagore wrote a letter to him.
Saying what?
It's almost a letter of apology.
Oh, you've got the letter.
I've got the letter here.
The letter to Naresh from Rabindranath Tagore, India's greatest ever writer, has been hanging on a relative's wall for decades.
And this is his signature.
What is he saying in this letter? That I like your books, I like what you're writing?
No, he's not saying that. I know that this kind of letter is not easy to write. Very few people can write a letter like that. Sometimes trying to hurt each other, we get ourselves into a trap. I hope now we have both come out of that. So I don't know exactly what he's talking about.
Trapped.
Maybe you can find out.
Yeah, maybe I can.
Then we'll know.
And did he have any brothers or sisters?
We just know his one younger brother and younger sister, Charuprabha Sengupta, who actually went to the prison at one time.
What his sister did?
Yeah.
Why?
Because she was involved in freedom movement. She was very emancipated woman.
How old was she?
I don't know the exact story about that.
Mom. It's quite rock and roll, isn't it? She went to prison. It must have been quite a big deal. Seemed like there was a bit of a mystery behind what did that letter really mean. So that intrigues me, and it also intrigues me that there's a sister of this great-grandfather of mine who went to jail for who knows what. So I think we might have to go to India to find out a bit more.
Sunetra is travelling to Kolkata, in India, where her great-grandfather Naresh used to live.
Wow, listen to that! It seems to fit Calcutta so well, that noise and these colours, they just sort of work. I remember visiting, as a child actually, I do remember. Everything was like in super colour, and then you go back to England and it just be like drab and brown and grey. I am off to try and look into the letter that Mum showed me, which was the letter from Tagore to Naresh. Maybe that letter can shed a bit more light on what my great-grandfather was about.
In the early 20th century, when Rabindranath Tagore and Naresh lived in Kolkata, the city was the capital of British India. It lies at the heart of the ancient state of Bengal, which was hugely influential across India.
Hi, I'm Shamarpita.
Hi there, I'm Sunetra.
Sunetra has come to Tagore's family home, now a museum, to meet literary historian Dr. Shamarpita Mitra.
So I've got this letter, which my mum gave me, which is a letter from Tagore to my great-grandfather, my mum's grandfather.
Tagore seems to be repenting that he has hurt Naresh Chandra Sengupta. What seems to have been the problem is that they had a series of letters exchanged, and there was a debate about what literature could talk about and what it could not talk about.
Like taboo and what's not taboo.
Yeah.
So give me an example of something that my great-grandfather would have written that Tagore would never have written. I mean, did he talk about sex? Did he talk about things like that?
He did. And here I have a short story which is about a widow who does not lead a very conventional way of life like the ordinary widows.
It's quite scandalous. If my hunger remains unsatisfied even after having consumed this noble man, this is borderline X-rated kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know whether I'd have been allowed to read this, in my mother's house.
Coming in the 1920s, this is quite radical.
Yeah.
It's not just in his fiction that he is talking about women. He was also taking up this point in his essays.
A housewife cannot be satisfied with little learning. We need to educate our housewives and mothers if we desire to make our country glorious. We need regular education, and the longer the training process is, the better. So he was paving the way for women's rights before, I suppose, people were even discussing women's rights.
These kinds of writings did make an impact. Not too many people would talk about the fact that women were equal in terms of their rights, in terms of the choices that they could make, that women too were human beings.
I felt quite proud to hear that my great-grandfather, he was a bit daring and he was going away from the norm, and I think I recognise a bit of that in me. I'm not your average anything. I don't think I fit in a box quite as easily as, say, some people do. So it really resonated with me, that.
Sunetra has discovered that her great-grandfather was a maverick who was using his writing to break new ground. To try and learn more about the impact of his work, she's come to the Lake School for Girls, which was set up by one of Naresh's daughters. She's come to meet Dr. Jayantha Sengupta.
Hello, I'm Jayantha. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Actually, did you know your mom came here?
My mum?
Yes.
My mum?
Yes.
I thought she went to a different school. Don't tell my mum I forgot that.
When Naresh was living in Kolkata at the start of the 20th century, the city was part of British India, which stretched all the way from what is now Pakistan, through India and Bangladesh, to Myanmar. But people in India were increasingly looking to a future free from British rule. This nationalist movement was particularly strong in Bengal, Naresh's home state. To try to stifle it, in 1905 the British divided Bengal in two, hoping that the majority Muslims in East Bengal and the majority Hindus in the West would rise up against each other rather than Britain.
That is clearly driven by a motive to drive a religious wedge between Hindus and Muslims and to undermine the nationalist movement. And it is against that decision to partition Bengal in 1905 that your great-grandfather translated a very dangerous book. The Bengali version is banned by the British, and we are lucky to have an original copy of this translation.
Of his translation of
his
that
translation.
book?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is it. The novel is actually about one of the first rebellions against British imperial rule.
A real one or a fictional?
A real one. Also has Vande Mataram, which is India's national song. Its translation into English for the first time also appears in this book.
Hail thee, mother, to her I bow.
So it's an ode to your motherland, which the British consider to be extremely dangerous. It eventually comes to be sung by other nationalists across the Indian subcontinent.
And this song sort of was the anthem to that movement?
Yes,
right,
it's the anthem to the nationalist movement.
Okay.
Yes.
Naresh had translated a song which became a rallying cry for Indian independence. And by translating it, he'd made it available to a far wider audience, not just Bengali speakers. Instead of pitting Indian against Indian, the partition of Bengal had backfired, fanning the flames of the nationalist movement.
And if you read this, especially here, you will see a reference to the singing of the national song Vande Mataram.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But official orders were issued that no procession could be allowed and that no organised shouting of the national song Vande Mataram or any other such cry should be permitted. One man was mercilessly beaten and thrown into a tank. Another was felled senseless. Bystanders in lanes were also assaulted by the police, who made attacks upon them with clubs. So given the way that the police treated people who dared to sing this song in the streets, would you then say it was either foolish or extremely brave for somebody to at that same time be translating the song?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is a book which is, a very dangerous book to touch at that time. And he is not only touching it, he is translating it. So he is addressing a wider reading public who are getting the message of that book for the first time because of his translation. So it's a huge, huge risk to take. It's high treason.
I knew he was a feminist and he was very much into women's rights and education, but I didn't realise he was at the forefront of politics as well.
He was very, very politically active. He was in the thick of it. I would like to see and hear something.
Okay.
Yes?
Today, India's national song, Vande Mataram, the rallying cry for nationalists originally translated by Naresh, is still sung at assembly in schools across the country.
Wow. Guest of honour. I feel quite...
Yes, you are.
Very flattered. Seeing the kids all lined up and looking pristine and singing that national song, it got me a little bit. It sort of symbolises a lot. Wow, that's amazing.
Wasn't it?
Thank you, thank you. I mean, I was already proud to say, guess what, my great-grandfather was something to do with women's rights, but now I'm finding out that he brought the message to nationalists that it was okay to fight against the British Empire. I'm really quite humbled to be part of that somewhere along the line. So, yeah.
6 years after the partition of Bengal, in 1911, the British finally gave in and reunited the state. Naresh's goal had been achieved. But Naresh had a younger sister called Charuprava, who was also involved in the nationalist movement. Sunetra knows from her mother that Charuprava went to jail for her beliefs, and she's managed to get hold of her biography. By the 1920s, support for the nationalist movement was becoming increasingly difficult for Britain to contain. Mahatma Gandhi was emerging as an inspirational leader in the movement.
So, Charuprabha met Gandhi for the first time in the beginning of 1931. She later recorded this meeting in writing. Oh, wow. A long-nurtured dream of mine was fulfilled. When we entered the room, we saw him sitting on the floor. A vision of absolute grace. We all touched his feet, which is a show of respect for the elderly. He greeted us all with a smile on his face. I had a request for Gandhiji and was wondering how to initiate that. She's brave. Wow. When the time came for us to leave, I solicited my appeal to him. Bapuji, I have a request for you. If while at work I have any question or face difficulties to take decisions, may I write to you? He gracefully nodded his head and said, of course. It was beyond my imagination that I would, without much of an effort, receive such an award. She's got guts. To meet Gandhi is a big deal. It's great. It's such an honour.
To find out whether her great-great-aunt Charuprava ever took Gandhi up on his offer of advice, Sunetra has come to meet Shamista Dutta Gupta, an expert on the role of women in India's independence movement.
Hi, Shamista. Shall we sit down? I've got some questions to ask you. So, I've got some information that I found out about my great-grandfather's sister, Charuprabha Sengupta. I think one of the most amazing paragraphs I read was about the fact that she had actually met Gandhi. And I'm intrigued to know, did she get in touch with him again? Do you know?
Absolutely, she did. They were in touch through letters and in person also. She met Gandhi a couple of times more after that. Just look at this photograph.
Where is that her?
Yes.
It wasn't just a couple of letters then. She actually met him again.
Yes,
And
yes.
I can't believe that is somebody in my family. Honestly, I could have joked about this with friends and family about, oh, I wonder if I find out that I'm connected in any way to Gandhi. And here I'm actually seeing my great-grandfather's sister.
Absolutely. Let me show you one. There were many letters that Gandhi and Charuprabha exchanged.
No.
This was written sometime in 1934. Yeah.
My dear Charuprabha, nonsense. You must not give way to despair like this. Let us work knowingly and voluntarily, not for self, but for the whole of humanity. And we shall surely see God face to face. Don't write doleful letters to me. Just begin the service that easily comes to you, and you will soon expand and find joy. Love, Bapu. He was like mentoring her.
Absolutely.
Wasn't he? It blows me away slightly. How have you found these? Where have these letters been?
They are all preserved in the National Archives of India. Charuprabha, she had emerged as quite a powerful local leader. She'd very much out there in the public sphere, giving speeches and taking part in nationalist marches and also going to jail.
So I keep forgetting she went to jail because there's just so much more about this whole story.
She was arrested 3 times, actually. This is a newspaper announcement of her first arrest.
Lady arrested. Charuprabha Sen, a prominent lady worker of the district, was arrested by the Rajbar police.
She was arrested for, giving what the police call treason inciting speech. And then she was arrested twice later. The next time was in 1932, when actually she was imprisoned for nearly 16 months.
What? 16 months?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a pointer to the kind of sacrifices and the challenges that, Charuprabha and women like her who participated in the nationalist movements actually had to take on themselves. Service to the nation was more important to her than anything else.
After Charuprabha had devoted decades of her life to the nationalist movement, in 1947, India finally won its independence from Britain.
You can take a look at this photograph. It's actually quite late in life.
Oh, wow.
After India's independence, she was very active, always working for social change.
She looks like a strong woman. She does. She'd fight her own corner.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone realises, but being connected in any way to Gandhi is just really sacred. And I think that's what I take from this, that I had a great-grandaunt who was so important that she was connected to Gandhi. And a great-grandfather who was her brother and who did so much. And it just makes me feel like I'm such a small piece of this big puzzle.
To see if she can find out more about Naresh or his sister, Sunetra has come to meet a distant cousin, Sukanya, whose mother kept a treasure trove of family memorabilia.
Tell me where we're going.
We're going to Shantiniketan.
Yeah!
And we're taking a train.
Really? It's been about 30 years since I've been on a train to Shantiniketan.
And Shantiniketan too.
All right. I'm so glad you're my tour guide.
Sukanya is taking Sunetra north of Kolkata to Shantiniketan, to the house where Sukanya's mother, one of Naresh's daughters, used to live.
Right?
Oh, no. I wish I didn't. What was I thinking? Oh, look at you with your glasses. Remember those really big glasses? That was probably the last time I went to Shantiniketan. I was 15.
I think so.
Ooh, someone's coming along.
Oh,
Hello. Want to see it, make it. Will you make one for me? It smells divine.
This is the house.
Yes.
My mother left the house in 2008, and she's got a lot of old stuff from the entire family.
Okay.
Okay.
We've got 10 rupee. Look at that. So tomorrow morning, can we go there and have a little look?
We're going there.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Did you recognize any of this?
But this is it.
Yeah,
Which was straight there.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, this is it.
Yeah, it has built up a lot more.
Yeah, built up a lot.
No one has lived in the house since Sukanya's mother passed away, leaving her family archives stored here.
When you're older.
That's right.
You know what I mean? I thought this was like, when I was little, this was huge.
Okay, do you remember this room?
I think I do, slightly. I mean, a part of me wants to say, yes, I do, but I don't, not 100%.
Okay.
Wow, look at these books. I mean, it's like we've walked into a museum. I mean, look at that.
8 years it's been empty. We come off and on.
And there's that Naresh again.
Naresh again.
So where is this box of goodies?
Okay.
Where are we going to start?
All right. Let's see. I know she's very organized.
I was expecting a cupboard of saris and jewellery and maybe a few books and stuff, but this is like the most organised admin library ever.
I know. Here are the ones that say Baba Ma. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
So look at this. Why don't you?
So this is a duplicate copy of the passport. Maybe have a little look at what it says. It says, Mr. Naresh Chandra Sengupta, accompanied by his wife, Mrs. Labanya Prabha Sengupta, maiden name Bakshi. Oh, my God.
I've never seen a picture of him this young, and I've never seen a picture
of her. Yeah. It's funny, you know, because I didn't have any idea what she might look like. So hang on, let me see this. Place and date of birth. Katalia. So she
came from Katalia.
And he was from
Bashi.
Right, but look at this visible distinguishing mark.
What's the visible distinguishing?
So his visible distinguishing mark.
Read it out to me.
Black spot on left side of forehead.
Okay.
And her distinguishing visible marks was mole left forearm.
Okay.
And he was 5'10" and she was 4'9".
Right. I think I heard this from my mother, that she used to sit on the chair and her legs wouldn't reach the ground.
And that photograph's incredible, incredible. Well, I like that. Okay, let's keep going. What else is there?
Let's see. So this is all falling apart, so we have to be very careful.
What's that? 30 letters.
So
30
letters. So this is very sweet because she has written, "My dear Babu." So I cannot tell you like how much I miss you, even being away from you like these few days.
Oh, and that might be early on in their relationship.
No, I think this is not that early on because like they were like that all through apparently.
Really? You just don't think of your great grandparents being so.
Right.
Romantic and loving and
they were very loving.
Maybe she was the impetus for him to understand how women should be treated, and
it's possible.
The force behind him.
Yeah. So take a look at this.
Lower primary scholarship pass certificate.
This is a school certificate.
1895.
1895.
What does that say? Son of?
Daughter of.
So they've crossed that out and put daughter of
Bipin Bihari Bakshi.
Bipin Bihari Bakshi. So that's the name of my great-great-grandfather.
Yes.
And pupil of Kantalia.
Yes.
Primary school. So I noticed that on the passport as well. It said
it says birthplace.
Birthplace Kantalia. Where is that?
This is in now Bangladesh.
That is in Bangladesh.
That is in Bangladesh.
So she was from what is now Bangladesh, but was then
that
part
was
of India.
Then from India. That was all Bengal.
Were they both from Bangladesh?
They're both from Bangladesh because even here it says Bashi, right?
Yeah.
And that's also in Bangladesh.
So the whole family really came from that side.
Right.
Of India at the time. Right. So if we wanted to find out who she was as a youngster or who Bipin Bihari was, we'd have to go to
Katalia.
Yes. Katalia.
Sunetra has discovered that her great-grandmother, Naresh's wife, was called Labonya, and her great-great-grandfather was Bipin Bihari Bakshi.
My mind is whirring. I came thinking I was going to be discussing maybe one member of my family and finding out a bit more about it. But now I've got a face of a great-grandmother that I didn't even think about. It'd be nice to find out more, to see how much further we can go, and maybe we can trace Bipin, my great-great-grandfather.
Kantalia, where Sunetra's great-grandmother was born and went to school, is a village in Bangladesh, a couple of hours' drive from the capital, Dhaka.
You need nerves of steel to drive around here. We are actually getting hit by cycles. What's really striking me is it's just the stark difference between where I was born and where my great-grandparents were born. It's just like we're planets away.
Kantalia is home to around 600 Bangladeshi families. But when Sunetra's great-grandmother was at school here, Bangladesh was known as East Bengal and was part of British India.
It's so sort of simple and very basic.
Sunetra has arranged to meet historian Dr. Asha Islam to see if she can find out anything more about her great-grandmother, Labonya.
Hello. You must be Asha.
Yes, I am. And you must be Sunetra.
Yes.
Yeah, so nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you. I can't tell you what this feels like. It is a bit of a dream-like scenario for me to be standing where I think my great-grandmother was brought up. So I've got something I want to show you, which I never thought I'd be holding, but it is my great-grandmother's school certificate.
Oh, my goodness. This is so wonderful.
And it says on here that, it's crossed out son of and it's made daughter of.
Yes, because in the second half of the 19th century, it was not normal for daughters to go to school. I can tell from this certificate that she came from a very liberal family, very enlightened family.
How would you know that?
Because this is proof that her father felt that girls should have an education.
Wow, that's been a theme, that has been such a theme in my journey and discovery.
From the very name, Bipin Bihari Gupta Bakshi, the very title says that you came from an aristocratic family. This Gupta Bakshi title is an aristocratic title.
No.
It's the title of the landowners. This land document, it shows the area of the homestead of the Bakshi family. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 houses, which comes to the total area of 6 acres. And the family which lived in a homestead of 6 acres would have hundreds of acres of cultivatable land.
So what you're saying is if you have 6 acres of homeland, you'd have far more around you.
Hundreds and hundreds of acres of farmland surrounding that homestead.
Wow.
Which shows that they were a big landed family. They were a big landed aristocracy.
That's something I didn't know for sure.
They were, we call it zamindar.
The landlords of the homestead.
And this is the name, Bipin Bihari Gupta Bakshi. This is your great-great-grandfather. And there are 5 names here who are the sons of Bipin Bihari Gupta Bakshi. The first son is Jagadish Chandra Gupta Bakshi.
And so these are Labonya's brothers.
Her brothers.
Sunetra has discovered that her great-great-grandfather, Bipin Bihari Bakshi, was the landlord of Kantalia village. And his eldest son, Labonya's brother, was Jagadish, Sunetra's great-great-uncle.
Their house would be the best house in the village, the best house in surrounding villages. They would have clean drinking water, their own.
So I get the picture. I get what you're saying. They were treated very well.
They were the kings of the area. You know, a zamindar is actually the king of his little area.
No.
Yes. You can get a glimpse of how good a lifestyle they had. This is an article that your great-grandmother, Labanya Prabha, wrote in around 1920. This is her memories of her childhood.
No way.
Yes.
I was saying the one thing I'd really like to know, gosh, it's making me quite emotional, is that I'd like to have known what she was like, because I'm all about emotions and I deal with emotions as an actor. And so I was hoping I'd find something that would at least give me an idea of what she was like. This is gold dust to me and to my mum and to so many other people. I can't tell you. I saved that. Thank you.
Okay.
Our house is next to the river. There's a place for guests to stay. That's why all travellers go via our river ghat. The boats on the river look like reflections of the sky on the water. The boats are packed with people, families, men, women and children. One can hear them singing, playing instruments and chanting hymns. It is a pleasure to watch them have fun. Young boys and girls get wet in the rain and sing monsoon songs. Girls steer some of the boats themselves. I have seen them rowing the boats with oars. In the entire year, we used to look forward to this happy time of the year. Now so many days pass by. Where does one find joy of that kind?
Sunetra has come to meet Narayan, one of the oldest people in Cantalia, to see if he remembers anything about her family.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Namaskar, namaskar.
Hello. I'm very well.
Very well. Fine.
Fine, fine.
Fine.
My mother's grandmother was Labanya Prabha, and Labanya's father was Bipin Bihari Bakshi. Did you ever know them at all?
Yes, I know everything. Bipin Bihari Bakshi.
That's my great-great-grandfather's name. You don't look old enough to be able to remember him. How old are you? Got a boy?
92.
Wow!
উনাদের সঙ্গে থাকতাম, ডাক দিত, আমপারতাম, একটা কথা বলতো না, নিয়ে আয়, এটা নিয়ে আইতাম।
Do you think you ever met Labanya?
হয়তো হয়েছে, তখন আমি স্মল ছিলাম। I can small, very small, কিন্তু ছিল। বাচ্চাদের সঙ্গে তো তখন খেলাধুলা করতাম, তো এখন তো বড় হয়ে মনে নাই।
আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে।
ঠিক মনে নাই।
It's amazing that I've found somebody who
আপনাকে আমি মনে হয়, আপনাকে আমি দেখেছি। আমার মনে হয়।
Feel like you know me.
কিন্তু মনে হয় না, অবশ্যই। তারপর জমিদার বক্সি বাবু উনি ছিলেন জমিদার। খুব সুন্দর মানুষ, খুব সুন্দর, very nice. This is long, this babu, this young. Very young. আমরা যখন ছিলাম
I understand, yes.
You understand?
I am understanding.
তখন আমাদের সঙ্গে আমরা দাদু বলতাম, দাদু। Very good. Very good.
So they did treat you well. You were treated.
আমরা সবাই খুব সুন্দর ছিলাম তখন। আমরা সবাই গ্রামে আমরা খুব ভালো ছিলাম।
Sunetra has discovered that when her great-great-grandfather, Bipin Bihari, died, after Labanya had moved to Kolkata, Jagadish became the landlord of Cantalia.
So where exactly do they live around here? Do you know?
এখানে বাড়ি ছিল, হাউস ছিল, এটা ছিল।
It's still here now.
দেখতে পারেন, আমি নিতে পারবো।
Yeah?
Yes.
Will you take me? Oh, that would be so nice. Thank you.
Sure.
You lead the way.
Hey, hi.
This is great.
গোপাল, এদিকে আসো, নাঠি নিয়ে আসো, সাপ থাকতে পারে। সাপ, বড় সাপ থাকতে পারে, এখানে আসো, নাঠি নিয়ে আসো, নাঠি নিয়ে আসো।
He was bringing a stick. Okay. Blimey. That's reassuring.
আচ্ছা এখন চলেন এখন ভিতর বাড়িটা দেখাই
Okay.
ইনসাইড বাড়িটা আচ্ছা যাবো এখন আসেন আমার সঙ্গে আসেন
I'm coming. I'm right behind you.
জগদীশ বক্সী his house is
Oh, wow.
কত সুন্দর মন্দির ছিল অনেক অনেক সুন্দর very good.
It must have been so beautiful. I can see a tiny bit of cornicing, which suggests there was some incredible carving on the ceiling.
ওখানে মন্দির ঠাকুর কারণ বলে দিয়েছিল ওখানে সবাই আমরা মান্য করতাম মানে আমরা খুব লাইক করতাম আমরা সবাই প্রণাম করতাম কেন আমাদের ভালোবাসতো দুষ্টামি করবে না লেখাপড়া করবে আমাদের ভালোবাসতো খাবার দিত অনেক খাবার আছে তাদের কাছে অনেক খাবার
Sounds like this was a really opulent, grand, special, big home where everybody came in a temple like this to be built.
দেখাইছো দেখো একটু পরিষ্কার করো সাপ থাকতে পারে গোপাল এনে যাওয়া যাবো না ভাই হ্যাঁ এখানে যে ঢুকবার রাস্তা ছিল এখানে
That was the entrance. That was how you got in.
ইনসাইড পরে রুট এখানে একটা বিরাট ঘর ছিল এখানে
Huge room there.
এটা ভোগ ঘর ছিল এখানে রান্না হতো এটা সিঁড়ি এখান দিয়ে উঠতো এখানে বলদেবের রান্না হতো এখানে ভোগ ঘর ছিল ওই রান্না করে কিচেন
It makes me feel like I must be walking in the space that Bipin and Lavanya and her brothers and sisters all walked in, and maybe even my grandmother may have visited here with them and been in this house.
এখন তো আপনি দেখলেন you can see everything.
Let's see. I've never been a brave explorer, but this, I want to walk up the stairs. I might be the last member of the family that gets to walk up these stairs. How amazing for me to be able to get up here and you know see where they used to live. It's huge. It's absolutely huge, and this is just the bits that I can see. Oh wow!
এখানে একটা ধানের ঘর ছিল না থাকার ঘর ছিল বিল্ডিং ছিল থাকার রুম একটা বিল্ডিং ছিল স্টে হিয়ার বিল্ডিং
Just by the river.
আর এখানে একটা মুভি ছিল
I don't even know what I've just walked through. I feel such a rush of history and walking back in time, almost going through a house that's obviously decrepit and so old, but that used to be clearly palatial and a house which entertained everyone in this area. I'm getting the feeling that, you know, my family was in some way so revered and they were so kind and they helped each other, and it just made me, I think I had a bit of a revelation of my own, which is that I didn't really like talking about the fact that my grandmother died in a really horrific way. She was cooking and her sari caught fire and she died. And the whole family, nobody really talks about that, but she was really special to a lot of people. That was just my grandmother. So I never looked beyond her. And I think if she knew that I was walking through her grandfather's house, she would just be, I think that would just make her so happy, and my mum. So, why is it like this now?
তো দুঃখজনক কিছু ঘটনা ঘটছে বলেন এখন অনেক দুঃখজনক ঘটনা স্বাধীনতা যখন স্বাধীন হয়ে গেল দেশ তখন তো মানে সবাই আমরা সরভঙ্গ হয়ে গেলাম
The seed of Bangladesh's independence was sown when India became independent in 1947 as two separate countries, India and Pakistan. But Pakistan itself was split into two provinces, 1,000 miles apart, and today's Bangladesh was known as East Pakistan. By 1971, when Sunetra's great-great-uncle Jagadish was master of the family house, politicians in East Pakistan were calling for independence. In response, West Pakistan launched a brutal war. Sunetra has come to Bangladesh's National Martyrs Memorial to find out about the war.
Let's sit down and I'll show you some documentary evidence of what actually happened. Huh?
Okay, yeah.
She's meeting Ali Sarker, who helped to set up Bangladesh's Liberation War Museum.
And this is a huge article that appeared in the Sunday Times of June 13, 1971.
Okay.
Then you will get a brief idea about what it was like when we were being pursued by the Pakistani soldiers.
I witnessed at close quarters the extent of the killing. I've heard the screams of men bludgeoned to death. I have witnessed the brutality of kill and burn missions. I was repeatedly told by senior military and civil officers in Dhaka, we are determined to cleanse East Pakistan once and for all of the threat of secession, even if it means killing off 2 million people. The West Pakistan Army in East Bengal is doing exactly that, with a terrifying thoroughness. Where were you living when this was going on?
Dhaka, I left my home. I was part of the freedom fighters.
But you chose to fight.
I chose to fight
reasons.
because I knew that I didn't want to live like this, a subjugated individual.
Do you know what astonishes me is that we're talking about 1971. That's just like, that was only like back then.
Yeah,
it was like, it was just before I was born. It just feels too recent to hear about something as gruesome and harrowing as that.
Most of the ordinary soldiers were not enlightened or educated. I was witness to at least one interrogation of one Pakistani soldier, and this guy said that they were instructed by their officers to go ahead and kill all Bengalis.
Muslims and Hindus.
Muslims and Hindus, and rape the women through whom they'd be able to raise a new generation of children who would be true Pakistanis. So they were asked to father the children through this rape.
They were told to come over and
actually rape
the women and then keep the women in the hope that they were
custody,
pregnant.
Yes, and then they said that these will be true Pakistanis. I will show you another little document.
This gets worse.
This is by Dr. Nilima Ibrahim. She had written a book called The War Heroine Speaks, in which you will find testimony of the war heroines who had survived this onslaught.
One day in the late afternoon, there was a scream. The military had arrived in our village. We were pulled out from the bedroom. I resisted their pulling me as much as I could with whatever little strength I had in my small body. I changed places and captors many times since that afternoon. Sometimes I was alone, sometimes with other girls. Every 2 months they would allow us to shower for their own needs. We were not allowed to wear saris. It is not because they hate saris, but that some girls use saris and dupatta to commit suicide.
Absolutely.
I used to think whichever way it goes, the war needed to come to an end. Either I would be alive or dead, but I needed to be released from this state of living death.
It is still contested whether the extensive use of rape was actively encouraged by some military leaders or was an unplanned horror during a brutal war, one which also saw Bangladeshi fighters commit atrocities. But after 9 months of fighting, tens of thousands of women had been violated and hundreds of thousands of people killed.
I feel quite gobsmacked at how I've never known about this war. It seems to be something so significant, and yet I haven't barely even thought about Bangladesh's independence or how it came about, and I think I'm a bit nervous to find out about at the same time is what the relation or the effect of that was on the family that I belong to in Catalia.
Sunetra has returned to Cantalia to try to find out what happened to her great-great-uncle Jagadish and his family when the Pakistani army reached the village.
Shushil.
She's managed to track down Shushil, the son of the local Hindu priest during the war.
So what happened in 1971 to this village?
1971 amra choto 8 years.
8 years old.
8 child. So amar 71 আমার বাবাকে ফাদারকে জগদীশ বক্সিকে এরা নিয়ে যায় 14 মে 1971 এই এরকম 39 জন লোকের ধরে নেয় খোঁজাখুঁজি করছি আমার বাবাকে পাই নাই আমরা ভেবে মনে করছি মারা গেছে পর আমরা হঠাৎ করে আমার এক মামা ছিল প্রায় 4 মাস পরে খবর পেলাম যে বাবা বেঁচে আছে Baba আসার পর আমরা সব শুনছি
So do you know what happened to Jagadish? When your dad returned, did he have any news about what might have happened to them?
ঢুকে 39 জন লোকেরে সারা দিন ধরে পিটায় মারপিট করে এই পাকহানাদার বাহিনীরা পিটায় মিলিটারিরে পিটিয়ে অজ্ঞান কইরা অত্যাচার করে খুব প্রেসার ক্রিয়েট করে মার দেয় বাবা ব্যানার সার্চ করে বাবারে নদীতে ফেলে দিল আমরা পরে বাবার মুখে শুনছি যে ওনা যতটি লোক নিয়ে গেছিল সবাইকে ওনারা মেরে ফেলছে
That's not what I wanted to hear.
এটা আমরা শুনছি শুধু একা বাবা বাইচে আসছিল
So given that we know that Jagadish died, what happened to the rest of the family that were living here?
তখন আমি তো ছোট ছিলাম আমরা অতটুকু জানি না গ্রামের অনেকেই জানে তখন তাদের অবস্থা কি ছিল কি হলো তখন ছোট তখন তো বোঝার উপায় ছিল না
I understand.
Sunetra has discovered that in May 1971, 2 months into Bangladesh's War of Independence, Jagadish, her great-great-uncle, was murdered.
I've sort of submerged myself into this family, this distant part of family that I never knew of. I've sort of grown quite close to them and wanted to know little bits here, there and everywhere. And now I know how horrifically, sadly, wrongly somebody died in our family. It's a bit of a blow.
But Sunetra doesn't yet know what happened to Jagadish's wife, who was also living in the family house. She's come to meet Bashanti, who was a maid for the women of the house in 1971.
I'm Sunetra. I'm Sunetra. I've come to sit with you and ask you some questions. On that night when you heard the news that Jagadish had gone, what was it like here for the family? How did you all react?
অনেক কষ্ট হয়েছে তখন তো সবই সিকরি খাওয়া খাদ্য ঠাইগুলো বন্ধ হয়ে গেল ওই আমরা একটু চাটা কইরা দিতাম বিস্কুট মিস্কুট ফল টল কাইটা দিতাম ওই কিছু কিছু কইরা খাইয়া থাকতো কি করবো তারা খালি কাঁদছে পাগলের নাগাল থাকছে সবই বুঝাইছে তাগো
So did they stay here during the fighting?
বুড়া তো পরে গন্ডগোলের পর তো চলেই গেল গা
Okay. So they did escape. কখনো দেখেনি ওই দিনের পরে
কিন্তু শিখিয়েছিল একটা ওই ঠাকুর বাড়িতে আমার নামে
What did this letter say?
তোর সাথে কথা কই আহিনি মানে যখন ইন্ডিয়া চলে গেল আমি সামনে দাঁড়িয়ে আছিলাম আমার সাথে কথা কয় নাই আমিও কথা কই নাই কথা কইলে কান্দাকাটি হইতো মানুষে জানতো
So has there been anybody from that side of the family that's ever returned to the village?
না আসেনি
কেউ না nobody
খালি প্রথম
Oh, I'm so proud to be that person to come and say hello and to thank you for everything that you've done for my family years and years and years ago. Thank you.
এই গ্রামে অনেক সুন্দর একটা জিনিস আপনার পরিবার থুয়ে গেছে, চলেন দেখিয়ে নিয়ে আসি।
আমাকে দেখাবে?
যখন জগদীশ বক্সির বউরা চলে যায়, ইন্ডিয়াতে যায়, এই মূর্তিটা তখন আমাদের কাকাকে এটা দিয়ে যায়।
You know, you can just feel something really serene in here. And I'm going to offer some flowers because I know that my mum would be very proud of me if I did that.
আপনার ফ্যামিলি এরকম ছিল, এরকম সবকিছু যে আজকে দেখেছেন, ফ্যামিলি এরকম করতো, আমরা সবাই যেতাম, ওনারা আমাদের খাবার দিত।
Today I will feed you all, like my ancestors fed your families.
আমাদের খাওয়াবেন, আমরা খুব খুশি হব।
And I will also be very happy.
আপনিও খুশি হবেন।
We'll all be happy together.
Happy আপনি। Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
Bess?
Next.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, very, very big thank you.
Very, very thank you back.
Hi.
This whole journey has been full of surprises. I think I came blind but curious. I'm blind in a way that I suppose I'm quite ashamed to say, because I was in complete denial of my Bengali root. I think I was so keen to be a British girl from Liverpool. And I still am so proud of that. But that was really what my identity began and ended with for me. And now, I couldn't be more Bengali. I'm wearing Bengali clothes, I'm eating Bengali food, I'm mixing with Bengali locals. And I'm so very grateful. I'm grateful to call myself Bengali, so I think I've got new paths to my identity, thanks to everything I've learned.
The series is back in 2 weeks with Sophie Rayworth, and Who Do You Think You Are is available to buy, download and keep from BBC Store. Well, how's the unconventional retirement plan going?